Hello and welcome to our UNO Scene. I'm your host, Paul Borge. With the start of the fall semester classes here at the university, we're also beginning our second year of UNO's Women's Studies minor. And this week we're going to talk about this new minor with Dr. Pam Smith. She's an assistant professor of English and Humanities here at UNO. Pam teaches in UNO's Goodrich program and in our Black Studies program too. She serves as the coordinator of the Women's Studies minor, and she's joined us to talk about the new minor. Welcome to the program. Glad you could join me.
Thank you.
Since I believe this is the first time you and I visited on this program, right?
Yes.
Well, then let's get a little history, a little background about you. Talk a little about your own history.
Well, I'm from Seattle, moved here from Seattle Pacific University, and this is my I'm just starting my third year here at UNO. And as you indicated, I'm with the Goodrich program, teaching English and Humanities and coordinating the Women's Studies minor.
You and I were visiting before we started recording, and the northwest part of America is a beautiful area. And I got to wondering, and I'm going to ask you, what brought you here to this part of the country? It's nice here too, but it's different, isn't it?
Very, very different from the gorgeous Pacific Northwest, but I was heavily recruited, and but I'm glad I'm here because this has become home now.
Now, why don't we get to the program that you're heading here that we talked about in the opening part of the program? This Women's Studies minor. What's the history? What's behind it all?
Well, a few years ago, a group of women faculty aware that national trends call for looking at a more holistic perspective in academics, went to work and put a proposal together and suggested to the powers that be that such a minor, women's issues, required to give a more holistic perspective, to students, men and women, and that it was time to move away from the traditional view of the role of women in American society.
It had changed a lot, as you and I were visiting before we started. The culture is. It's hard for us on the college campus to keep up with it, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think students benefit from getting both a male and a female perspective. Women have contributed tremendously to the history, the building of this country, to economics, and to American society at large. And so from that perspective to basically look at American institutions, mainly from a male perspective, is absolutely inaccurate. And so women's studies bring into perspective that other side, that other view, that other side of the coin, so to speak. A little more balance.
Really happened,
yes, very much so.
Yeah. Now, as you described briefly, to get a minor going or a major on a college campus, that's quite a job.
Yes, it is.
How did you get started in developing this? What were some of the steps? I think people watching might be interested in that. To get a minor, a group of studies into a certain perspective, as you said.
Yeah. I was not here when the women faculty, a group of women faculty, started working on this. I've just been here. I'm starting my third year, even though I'm coordinating the program.
So some of the groundwork was done before you got here.
Yes, very much so. Basically what happened was that a proposal was put together with rationale as to why such a minor is required. And of course, like every program on campus, it has to go through certain committee hoops, so to speak. And of course, with the backing of the appropriate persons, the dean of the college in which such a minor will be housed, and in this particular case, the dean of arts and sciences, Dr. Newton, in collaboration with certain other school deans, I'm sure, because it's a very interdisciplinary program that draws from
cuts
all
across
the,
a lot
cuts
of lines,
across the entire campus. And so from that point of view, it had to have support, of a large number of people, and of course then goes through approving committees such as EPAC, and now that then went through academic vice chancellor.
Yeah.
And got approved in the spring of '88 and got implemented.
When it finally got approved, you were here, but they were talking about it when they talked to you about coming here, right?
No, as a matter of fact, no, they were not talking about it at all. When I got here, I was invited to become a member of the committee, the Women's Studies Committee.
And you were happy
and
to do that.
I was very happy to do that because I was working with some real high-powered women faculty. And got very excited about the minor.
Now, nationally, not just here, you come to us from the West Coast a few years back, but Pam, what about the rest of the country? Is this sort of thing, this perspective on a lot of disciplines changing, and how's it doing in other schools?
Nationally, it is changing, and I think UNO was smart to join in the flow. As a matter of fact, just 60 miles away, our neighbor, big sister school, if you will, UNO does have a major, not just a minor, in women's studies. And nationally, this is the order of the day.
Now, what were
doing quite well.
What have been the early on goals for the program?
Well, for our program here,
yeah.
Basically, as I said earlier, it's to bring into perspective for all students a more holistic academic study of the women's issues, and to begin to.
Excuse me. Do we do this through new courses or through existing change of pattern in curriculum?
Through both. There are courses that already existed in various departments.
Examples of some of the courses, perhaps.
Well, women, for example, in criminal justice, you might have a course on sexism in in the courts.
Yeah.
Of course, most of that part of that particular course will touch on gender issues that pertain to women.
Sure.
While in and of itself, it's not a course solely on women.
Right.
And courses in, let's say, in the English department, women in literature, history department, women in U.S. history. In art, women in art, or women artists. So there were courses that were already in these various departments, and then brand new courses have been introduced. For example, the minor requires 2 courses, introductory courses, Introduction to Women's Studies in the Humanities, and Introduction to Women's Studies and the Behavioral Sciences. And so we're now in the process of establishing new courses and adding to the list of existing courses.
Now, this program, as you've described it thus far, is it just for women?
Absolutely not.
You're glad I asked that, aren't you?
I'm glad, very glad you asked that. This course is for absolutely everyone. And we would hope that this program would sensitize absolutely everyone to human issues, not just women's issues or men's issues.
Now, so far, what kind of response have you gotten? People like it? Do they think well of it? What kind of response have you been having?
I think we've been having some very, very good responses. Let's start with the faculty. Even we have we have a women's studies faculty. Not just every faculty member can teach women's studies courses. We do have male faculty members who have applied and who have been invited to join the women's studies faculty. And the students are finally getting the word, and we do have students who have declared the minor. About half a dozen of them. This is, remember, yes, good beginning. However, the courses that are being taught are being taken by students all over campus.
As electives and so on.
Yes, as electives, yes. And so we last year we boasted something like about 1,200 credit hours that some of these courses have generated. So we're doing well, I think.
Now, looking down the road another 5 years, when you've been here 8 years, let's say, Pam, what would you like it to be like, the program?
A major. We've got our eyes our sights set on this becoming a major. We've worked hard enough, even in these past year or two, that we would expect the program to continue to grow and make an impact here on
so
campus.
by the time some of these beginners are into it, they could probably finish out with a major, move on to that before
Yes.
they're done even.
Yes.
If they're at the freshman or maybe sophomore level now.
Yes, yes, because the program, really the minor, requires only 18 credits.
Now, do you have some plans to bring, as often programs do, special speakers, something to highlight it, to emphasize it onto campus?
Yes, very much so. We don't have some specific names as such or anything lined up because we've got to talk about money.
Yeah.
We've just finally been allotted a budget for the program. It was quite lean last year. We sort of ran the program basically on the good graces of deans and faculty members.
Sort of helping out, huh?
Yes, helped out. But this year, Dr. Bauer has graciously given us a budget, and so we are planning to do some fundraising also, and so we plan on bringing in speakers and having colloquiums and all kinds of good things.
If someone wants more information, Pam, what might they do?
Please call me, Pam Smith. My number is
There it is on the screen.
On the screen, okay.
554-3463.
Yes.
Well, it sounds like an interesting and a very ambitious program, and we wish you well with it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Our guest this week has been Dr. Pam Smith. She's been talking about the Women's Studies minor here at our university. We thank Pam. We thank every one of you for being with us for another UNO Scene.